from Laura very soon. So it is already another Olympic Super Saturday for the British team. And not for a century have Britain's Winter Olympics claimed multiple medals on the same day. Now, in 26 years of frenetic racing at the Winter Games in short track speed skating, there's been one British medal. Nikki Gooch, a bronze, 1994 in Lillehammer. Nikki Gooch is now the coach of Elise Christie, very much in her corner. Now, Elise, as you know, is a brilliant athlete. She is a multiple European athlete. She's a multiple world champion. But success has never come her way at the Olympic Games. It wasn't just Nikki in Elise's corner today. I think it was everyone in Great Britain. Would it finally come right for her in the 1500 metres? She was one of 3 British skaters in this event today. Yeah, hometown victory for Korea, and they were smiling, that's for sure, but Elise Christie, not so much. After that collision with Lee Jin-yu, Elise was taken to hospital for a precautionary scan. We can happily report no broken bones, and her boyfriend, Hungary Shaolin Liu, has told BBC Sport that Elise is indeed hoping to compete in the last of her 3 events, the 1,000 metres, and that will be on Tuesday, and you really do have to admire her bounce-back ability if she can do that. Everything crossed for Elise for Tuesday. OK. Now, yesterday, Dom Parsons kept alive Great Britain's very proud record in skeleton bob at the Olympic Games, because in all 7 editions that the sport has featured in the Games since 1928, a British slider has always ended up on the podium. World power we are in this one. Great to see. Now, the problem is we've never ever had 2 sliders on the same podium. Would that change today? Because the defending champion Lizzie Yarnold was attempting to make history, trying to become the first bob skeleton slider in history ever to successfully defend a title, male or female. And Wrexham's Laura Dees was well in there with a shout as well. In fact, let's just show you the look. Congratulations to Laura, and of course to Lizzie, because with Amy Williams gold in Vancouver and then back-to-back for Lizzie Yarnold, 3 golds in a row in bob skeleton for Britain's women, and the last sport in which Great Britain achieved back-to-back-to-back goals was figure skating. It's all thought about this programme, it really is. And Christopher Dean, of course, was part of that with guys. And first of all, your reaction to actually being able to take that pressure and come back and win consecutive gold medals. How much do you admire that in Lizzie Yarnold today? And with a chest infection, and she smashed her own track record there, Chris, in the last run, 0.2 of a second. That is the mark, and indeed the minutes and history in the making there. We will sure get a lot more reaction to that as the afternoon goes on. Yeah. But when we reflect back on figure skating's finest hour, really, for Great Britain, you had 10 years apart with Jane. But to 94, yeah. Can you tell us about why you decided to put yourself through the Olympic ringer and the circumstances that led to that, the 10 years apart?
I think it was always about the challenge. These have changed a lot, and that was the first year that they did that. And so,
well, we've been allowing ourselves, when Chris has been in the studio all week, to give ourselves what we've been calling a T&D timeout, a Torval and Dean timeout, and we're going to do it again because you mentioned 1994. We're about to see the men's free programme very shortly, but before that, let's just remind you of that night when you and Jane skated in front of a worldwide audience and 20 million people watching back home in Britain when they faced the music and danced. Irving Berlin's inspiration, but the judges didn't like it so much. Was it that pesky somersault that did for you in the end, Chris, do you think?
I think that's what...
You still maintain very strong connections in choreography terms with the Olympic Games right now. In fact, you choreographed the gold medal winning routine of the Germans and the pairs. Congratulations. Hashtag Ask Chris.
Okay.
And there was a very good one came in the other day, actually, from Kevin Stokes, who said, Chris, did you ever consider doing the men's individual skating, what we're going to see, before you actually teamed up with different partners in dance?
So, hence dance.
It was definitely not an option.
I was going to hurt myself.
OK, all right. Well, just as you and Jane were the dominant force in ice dance and you changed it forever, this is going to be the first men's without the charismatic Yevgeny Plushenko since 1998. Now, he did turn up in Sochi, albeit rather theatrically, throwing in the towel just before the short programme. But when you look back on his influence, it was significant, wasn't it, over the years?
Absolutely. I mean, the style, his grace, his ease over the ice, his technical ability, second to none.
Indeed. Now, he was trying today to do something that hadn't been done since 1952, and that was to win back-to-back gold medals. It was last done at the Oslo Games by a certain Dick Button.
Dick Button,
the American. Yeah. Ireland, when you look back at his influence, he was the first to complete a triple jump in any competition. How things have changed.
We were talking about that it's taken...
You never know. But actually, quadruple rotation is what it's all about in this particular free programme. If you don't have it...
You're not in the club.
You're not in the club. All right, well, let's just check the standings before we go into the free... Well, there you go. You have just witnessed the greatest quad fest in history. Chris, we've just been counting them. Well, actually, the New York Times was keeping a very close watch on it, and not us. 45 attempts at quads, 34 landed.
And that was just in the...
Revolutionary, dare I say? Yes, OK. We'll just pass that one over, shall we? But Han Yu becomes the first back-to-back winner of the gold since Dick Button. Amazing.
Amazing. And such a talented skater and...
Gold. But he didn't win the free skate.
No, that's the difference. You've got the short programme and the long programme. And by a huge margin, Nathan Chen finished 5th. Yes,
indeed. We shall see in 4 years' time. But Shoma Uno... getting the silver medal. It's the first time that Japan have had 2 athletes on the same podium since the Sapporo Olympics in 1972. Yeah. What was superior, do you think, in his routine to Fernandez in the end?
Well, he just had the technical ability. But a great day for Japan. I'm sure they're going to be both superstars when they go back there.
Oh, you can imagine it there. But also in Spain, because this was Spain's wonderful Javier Fernandez getting...
Highlights. People love to go and see him skate.
Overall, Chris, how would you rate that as an Olympic occasion in the men's programme?
I think 52, so 60 years later we're up to quad, so...
That's next.
Yeah, that's... We'll have a chat together and talk about ice then.
Now, from ice to snow we go, because we are now freestyle skiing in the slope style, and Great Britain had real medal hopes going into this event, and indeed many of the other freestyle skiing events as well. Now, before this event started today for the women, there had been no British medals ever won on snow, officially anyway, because for many of us who remember Alain Baxter's slalom bronze in Salt Lake City in 2002, that will always indeed live long in our hearts and minds. And as you know, it was a common cold remedy which eventually led to Alain testing positive. But today, Sheffield's Katie Summerhays and Izzy Atkin, who is a Utah native, but since the age of 15 has been competing for Great Britain, were aiming to throw down a history-making run. All watched by Tim Warwood and Ed Lee. For Great Britain and Shemi Alcott, it is officially the greatest day in the history of Britain's Winter Olympians. Never before has this country won 3 medals on the same day in a Winter Olympics. The best ever, Chamonix, 1924, with 2.
I think and that energy is something that we hoped the ball would start rolling earlier in the week, but now...
Of course, that means that the British team has officially met its target, 4 or more. And you just think, as you say, maybe the floodgates have opened. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but let's talk about Izzy. This is her moment.
Amazing.
And I talked about nous. Mature
world champ bronze. She had the form going in. I think because she was so... didn't want to put all that pressure on her, so it was like letting her do her own thing. And
I understand, yeah. And Katie Summerhays finishing 7th despite a bad ankle
That is
injury.
amazing, because I know she can be a podium contender, and she knows that. But, you know, another 4 years, she's still...
let's get your reaction to events earlier in the skeleton, Shemi, particularly Leslie, because...
she executed it. We all thought it was a big call to go and retain that title from 4 years ago because of the season she's had, but I don't double.
Exactly. We've had some wonderful champions in the past. Torvill Dean and Robin and Rona Martin and John Curry.
And it didn't come easily. She had to be a great driver. You had to have a good start. And she's
ever retained it in Great Britain's history. Has come back and actually won 2 golds in a row. It's amazing. But you also have to say, in terms of succession planning, Laura Dees, could Beijing be her?
We've always been in Winter Olympics a bit weak in that area, but we are not now, and it's incredible for them to achieve what they've done.
And it is extraordinary. 3 of the 6 skeleton medals going to British sliders. Worth the investment in that sport, definitely.
Definitely. And
freestyle skiing, and we're going to do a little bit more of that in aerials. It's probably the only thing you haven't tried, actually, or you probably have, Jimmy. I'm not sure, but this is quite a story.
Amazing.
And this is Lloyd Wallace.
So close, like the fact that he went that big on his Olympic debut.
Now it's official. Norway Norway is the greatest Winter Olympic nation there has ever been, and they now have the two greatest and best decorated Winter Olympians of all time because their Iron Lady, Marit Bjørgen, has been doing it for them once again today. She came into these games with 10 medals, 6 of them were gold, and she's only gone and made history again today in the women's relay. 13 Olympic medals, 7 of them gold, and the Norwegian bookmakers have officially suspended betting on the Norwegian Sports Personality of the Year. Very wise indeed, I would imagine. She's something else, 37 years young as well, Shelley.
Oh my gosh, incredible.
Another 30-something that we were actually watching today in the Women's Super G was Lindsey Vonn. Now, she has had a very kind of checkered Olympic career. She is a former downhill champion, but had waited 8 years in order to try and defend her title from Vancouver. Didn't go to Sochi because of injury, plenty of injuries over the last few years, and she said she felt like a caged bull ready to get into that start gate today. And there was huge expectation from the American media today, wasn't there, Shemi?
I mean, huge.
Of course, ready to charge, as we will see in the Women's Super G with Matt Chilton. Right, Matt, by 100th of a second, the smallest margin in alpine skiing, and how unlikely a result is that? What will the alpine world be experiencing right now?
I mean, man has ever been in the most influential position to hate each other. We don't. We're all on the mountain, but the ski static with her 23rd in GS. So how she's going to be now? It's incredible.
We hear that she actually had a pair of Michaela Schifrin's skis.
Yeah, so Tom, they were fast, those skis, but it wasn't just the skis.
No.
She's amazing. She trains 3 weeks of alpine, then 3 weeks of snowboarding, then
the blue, especially with the likes of Lindsey Vonn.
If you put money on her,
It was on Lindsey Vonn because she came out of the start gate.
Vonn said, unfortunately,
I'm absolutely mad, I must say, because there's very few times that you see that the top racers choose early starts. It's very, very unlikely these days that someone comes in with a bib number of 26 and steals everybody's thunder. And this is exactly what happened. But I tell you what, it was harum-scarum at the end of her run, wasn't it, Ledecka?
I mean, she is loose, she's fast.
Moments of these Pyeongchang Games. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much through these games. It feels like we have had indeed enough Olympic action in the one day to last us an entire Games. Some of it frustrating, some of it absolutely fantastic. It's appropriate in Korea that we've had the yin and the yang of sport. Elise Christie, well, she'll be back to fight another day on Tuesday, but a record-breaking day. 3 medals, 1 day, officially the best ever in Britain's history. It's been great. Bye for now.